Hello everybody, my name is Sompemete, also known as Re. I'm a math and science tutor and today I'll do arithmetic sequence. So I have two sequences here. I have 6, 13, 20. So when we do arithmetic sequence, remember we should have a common difference. So when we have to calculate the difference, our difference will be T2 minus T1. You see, so our T2 is 13 and our term number 1 is 6. You see, so you'll press on your calculator and say 13 minus 6, it's 7. You see, so our difference is 7. So our difference is 7. Okay, and our A, which is the first term, it's 6. You see, so remember, on when we do arithmetic sequence, we have a general formula. So the first question says determine the nth term. So our general formula is this. So A is for the first term, N is for the number of terms, and D is for the difference. Tn is for term number. Okay, so when they say determine the nth term, we have A, we have D, we are good. We are going to substitute them. What we will have to do is to break the brackets. So okay, I'll write my Tn is equals to, remember my A is 6, N minus 1, my D is 7. You see, so okay, I substituted everything. So I have to break the bracket. So I will say Tn is equals to 6, 7 multiplied by n. Positive 7 multiplied by n, it's 7n. So I write 7n here. 7 multiplied by negative 1 is negative 7. After this step, I should put it in the standard form. So I will say Tn is equals to 7n first. Then I will say 6 minus 7. 6 minus 7 is negative 1. I'll show you my calculation on my calculator so that you can see where everything is coming from. You see, so this is our nth term. But to test your nth term, when you substitute, remember you should open the brackets like I said on my first video on YouTube. So I will say 7, then I open bracket, then I say okay, for term number 1 I'll substitute 1, it gives us 6. You see, and remember 6 is our first term. You see, so if I substitute 2 here, it gives me 13. If I substitute 3 here, if I substitute 3 here, it gives me 20. You see, so this is our nth term. So our nth term is correct. So this is number 1. Okay, so for number 2, they said determine the 21st term. So which means my n is, remember now here they were looking for the nth term. Now they are looking for the 21st term. You see, so when they are looking for the 21st term, which means we will take our n as 21. You see, so where I see n, I'll write 21. So remember here it's Tn, so I'll say T21. Where I see n, I write 21. You see, so I'll take my calculator and press it the way as it is. Remember, I'll use my brackets. Okay, so I'll say 21, then I close the bracket, then I'll say minus 1. So it's minus 1, which is 146. So our answer is 146. So this is the value for the 21st term of that sequence. Okay, so number 3 says which term is equal to. 97th term. So on my first video on YouTube, I explained that, and I said when you are looking, when they said which term, once they said which term, which means we are looking for n. So our nth term is very important. So here is our nth term, remember. So they said which term is equal to 97. You see, so where I see Tn, I'll substitute 97. Where I see, yeah, I'll just substitute 97, but I'm looking for n, so I'll have to make n the subject of the formula. So okay, this is part of our question. So remember, my nth term is Tn is equals to Tn minus 1. Okay, so like I said, where I see Tn, I substitute 97. So it's 97 Sn minus 1. So like I said, the goal is to make the n the subject of the formula. So here we'll have 7n. So if I take 1 to the left hand side, it will be plus. It will change the sign because it changed the sides. So it went from left hand side to the right hand side to the left hand side. So it will be 97 plus 1, which is 98. So I'll have to divide both sides by 7 because I'm looking for the value of n. Okay, so my n will be equals to, and know that your n should always be positive because it's the number of terms. So we'll say 97 divided by 98 divided by 7, which is 14. So our n is 14, which means term number 14 is equals to 97 of that sequence. Okay, so that's how it is. So now I will do number 2. On number 2, we are given another sequence. Okay, so our sequence is 8, 5, 2. 8, 5, 2. So like I said, when we do this geometric sequence and we are looking for the difference, remember a difference can be negative and can be positive. So this one is going backwards, which tells us that our difference will be negative. So for the difference, the formula doesn't change. It's T1 minus T2 minus T1. Okay, our T2 is 5 and our T1 is 8. 5 minus 8 is how much? It's negative 3. It's negative 3. And our A is 8. Okay, I have my difference and I have the first term. So let's check the question. The question says, determine the nth term and determine the 15th term, and which term is equal to negative 289. So firstly, let's do the one for the nth term. So remember the formula for our nth term for geometric, it doesn't change. Okay, so we have A, we have D. So I'll write Tn is equals to, our A is 8, n minus 1, our D is negative 3. So even if you get questions like the second one, like determine the 15th term and which term is equals to this number, and they didn't ask about the nth term, calculate the nth term on your side to be safe, because the nth term is very useful. Okay, so now let's break the bracket. So it's Tn is equals to negative 3 multiplied by n is negative 3n. So here, remember, I have 8. So here I will have negative 3n, and negative 3 multiplied by negative 1 is positive 3. You see, now I should write it in the standard form. So I'll have Tn is equals to, okay, here we have negative 3n, and 8 plus 3, it's 11. So here I have 11. So this is our nth term for that sequence, you see. So if you test it like I did with the first one, where you see n, you'll open brackets. So we have -3, we open brackets, first term plus 11. Let's see if it will give us 8. You see, it's 8. So let's see if I edit this part, then I said 2. For the second term, it's 5, you see. And if it test for the third term, you'll substitute 3, which is 2. So our nth term is correct. Or did I remove it first? So here it is. Yeah. So this is our nth term. This is our nth term, okay? So let's answer the following question. This is our nth term. It is very useful. So for the next question, they said determine the 15th term. So they want the 15th term. So which means where I see n, I'll substitute 15. So I'll take my n as 15. Remember, like I said, the nth term is very important, which means I will have to use it. Okay, where I see n, I'll write 15, -3, 15 plus 11. You see, I didn't change anything. I just substituted 15 where I see n. Then you can take your calculator and press negative. And when you press negative, press this button. Don't press subtraction. Okay, so you'll press -3, open bracket, 15 plus 11 is -34, which means our value is -34, which means term number 15 of that sequence is -34. You see. So yeah guys, it is not that difficult. You just need to practice and be aware of your calculation when you substitute, you know. So yeah, the next question says which term is equals to -289. So like I did on the previous question, I said when they are looking for the term, which means you should calculate n. Okay, so even on this question we'll have to use our nth term. Okay, so they said which term is equal to -289. You see, so let's do it. Okay, so remember our nth term is this, right? So we don't have to change it. So where I see Tn, I'll substitute -289. So I'll say -289 is equals to -3n plus 11. You see? So remember, the goal is to make the n the subject of the formula. So I'll have to take 11 to the opposite direction. So here I'll be left with -3n only. So on that side I have this. So if I take 1 to the opposite side, it will change the sign from positive to negative. So after here I'll say, okay, here we have -3n. So then you press your calculator, you'll say -289 minus 11. You see, it's -300. So we'll say, okay, this side I have -300. You see, so remember, I'm looking for n, and my n should be positive. N can be negative. The number of terms can't be negative. If you calculate and you find yourself with a negative n value, just know you are wrong and check well your substitution from the first step to the last step. So after this step, I have to divide both sides by -3. You see, so my n will be, remember, is -300 divided by -3, which is 100. You see, so my n is 100. So this tells us that term number 100 is equals to negative 289. Term number 100 of that sequence. Which sequence? The sequence I've been doing here. This sequence 852. Okay, all right, let's move on. Okay, so right now I'll do the last question of arithmetic sequence. Okay, so this one we are given our sequence in letters like this. So it's negative 1 minus p. It's our first term. Our second term is 2p minus 3. And our third term is p plus 5. Okay, so when you do this one and our question, okay, let me read the question. And our question says determine p and determine the value. The second question says determine the values of 3 terms. So even if they didn't ask you to determine the value of p, here you are supposed to know the value of p to know your sequence. That's very, very important. If you get that p wrong, all your answers will be wrong. Your sequence will be wrong. Everything will be wrong. Okay, so you should be careful. So every time when you do arithmetic and you have a known like this pattern, you should use the differences. Remember, it's arithmetic sequence. So remember, for the difference, we'll say, okay, T2 minus T1 is equals to T3 minus T2. Okay, like I said, on arithmetic sequence, we should have the common difference. So our difference should be equal. Okay, so T2 minus T1 is equal to T3 minus T2. Can you all see it? So okay, remember this is my T1, this is my T2, and this is my T3. Okay, so I said T2 minus T1, so I'll write T2, which is 2p minus 3. You see, so for you to not make silly mistakes, when you take the first one and you subtract another one, the other one, put it in bracket to avoid writing wrong signs. Okay, so here I will say minus, then I will open bracket like this, like I said, 1 minus p, because this one is for T1. Okay, so I'll write my equal sign. And our T3 is here, so I'll say p plus 5 minus, like I said, when you subtract, the one that you subtract, put it inside the bracket. So I'll open the bracket and say 2p minus 3. You see? So after this step, I'll have to break the brackets. So when I break the brackets, that's where I'll be aware and use the correct signs. You see? So here, remember, I have 2p. So I'll say 2p minus 3. Negative multiplied by positive is negative. So here is negative 1. Negative multiplied by negative is positive. Here I have positive p is equals to that. Then we have p plus 5. So negative multiplied by positive is negative p. Negative multiplied by negative is positive 3. You see? Now I have to collect like terms. I have to collect the like terms. Okay, so I'll say, okay, I'll check on my left hand side first. So here I have p, here I have p. 2p plus p is 3p, so which means I have 3p. Okay, so here I have negative 1 minus 1. So you'll have to say negative 3 minus 1. You see, so it's negative 4. Then I'll write negative 4 here is equals to, you do the same thing this side, so it's 1 minus 2p. You see, for you to avoid single mistakes, you can press it like this. So 1 minus 2 is negative 1, so which means we'll have negative p. You see, so 5 plus 3, it's 8. So here I have 8. Now it's time to combine the like terms. So for the ones for P, I'll put them on my left hand side. For the one with just like a number, I'll put them on my right hand side. So here I have 3P. So if I take that P to the left hand side, it will be plus because it will change the sign, you see. And here I have positive 8. If I take 4 to the right hand side, it will change the sign. So here I'll have positive 4. So 3P plus P is 4P. So here we have 4P is equals 8 plus 4, it's 12. Okay, now I have to divide both sides by 4 because I'm looking for P. So my P is equals 12 divided by 4, it's 3. So the value of P is 3. And the first question says determine P. So, but like I said, even if they didn't ask you this question, it's a must to get this unknown. It's a must. So, after getting the value of P, you should go back to your sequence. Okay. So, where I see P now, I'll substitute 3. So, for my first term, I'll say 1 minus, remember, when you substitute, open the bracket, minus 3. So, my P is, my first term is negative 2. So, okay. I will write negative 2 here. This is my first term, negative 2, okay? Then I'll go back and say, okay, my P, remember, it's 3. So I'll say 2, remember, this is the second term. So where I see P, I open the brackets, then I substitute my P, which is 3, okay? Minus 3. So it gives us 3, you see? So my second term is 3. So for the third term, I will say, okay, where I see P, I substitute 3, you see, plus 5. So it's 8. So my third term is 8. Okay, so that is my sequence. Okay, so it's good to recheck to see if we have a common difference because they told us that this is an arithmetic sequence. So I will say, okay, my T2 is 3 minus my T1 is negative 2. So which means the difference is 5. Okay, let me see if I say term number 3 minus term number 2. It will be 8 minus 3, which is also 5. Which means this is correct because we have a common difference and our difference is 5. So when you do this, you make things easier for yourself for the next questions because we don't know the next question. So the next question says, oh, determine the values of 3 terms. Oh, we already answered them. These are the terms. So that's how it is, guys. Thank you for watching. Thank you for watching.